Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the series that I'm currently doing on songs from albums I've produced over the years. And we started back in the mid 70s when I started producing records. And I did a song by Stan Rogers that came from the first album that he put out, which I produced. The album was called Fogarty's Cove. And I'm going to do another Stan Rogers song for you today because a couple of years after that album was released, we did a second album together. It was called Turnaround. And the Fogarty's Cove album had a lot of songs that had a kind of East Coast flavor to them. And it kind of established him with a reputation of a writer of songs about Canada's maritime provinces. But on the second album, he wanted to go back and pick up some of the songs that he had written before he started that phase in his songwriting. And it was kind of a catch-up in a way. There were still a couple of songs on Turnaround that had a maritime flavor to them, but other ones did not. And I'm going to do one for you today, which was one of those. It's called Second Effort. By the way, the cover of Turnaround is just here up over my left shoulder for you to see. Anyway, let me give you some background behind this song that I'm going to do for you, because it was actually a song written on commission. I was working for CBC Radio as a music producer in those years, and in 1974, a guy named Doug Byers approached me with a great idea for a radio musical. You may recall that 1976 was the year that the Summer Olympics took place in Montreal. And Doug had this idea for a musical about the Olympics. And he was wondering if CBC Radio would be interested in producing it. Well, I jumped on it. I thought it was a great idea. And Doug had a couple of songwriters with him that had a bunch of good songs for this, but not quite enough. So I said to Doug, I know somebody who might be able to fill the bill to finish writing songs for this. And he said, oh yeah, who's that? I said, a guy named Stan Rogers, great songwriter. And Doug said, give him a call. So I called Stan up and I asked him if he'd be willing to write some songs on commission. And he said, absolutely, what's it about? I said, the Olympics. He says, count me in. And he got going on it. He went on a writing spurt and he wrote 5 wonderful songs that ended up being produced for this musical. And a couple of them actually survived into his regular repertoire. And they ended up on this album, Turnaround, and I'm going to do one of those for you today. The song is called Second Effort. And it's about the trials and troubles of an Olympic athlete. Here it goes. Well, I've been sitting here crying since long before the day began, with my pockets full of nothing but broken dreams and my head in my empty hands. The winnings that I thought I had come so far to get are further away than they've ever been. They've been taken by another man. Well, I wouldn't take a train for home even if I could, 'cause they've been saving their joy for the hometown boy who went away to make it good. I bet they cleared away the parlor so my ma could dance me in the door, and the old man could wink and pour me a drink and ask me what the tears are for. Well, it's harder to try again than it was to begin. A man can play a lone hand in a high-stakes game, but it doesn't mean he's gonna win. And somehow I've got to keep from getting further down before I buy myself a bottle of cheap Escape and take it to another town. Well, I know I'm not crying 'cause I think I've had it mighty tough. Yeah, I did my best with all the rest, but it just wasn't good enough. And I've been working and training too long just to make it here, to merely swallow my pride, walk outside and come back another year. Well, it's hard harder to try again than it was to begin. A man can play a lone hand in a high-stakes game, but it doesn't mean he's gonna win. And somehow I've got to keep from getting further down before I buy myself a bottle of cheap escape and a ticket to another town. I want to drown in the grape and make my escape on a ticket to another town.